Kenyans, a lot is happening in our politics right now. But we cannot speak about electing leaders in 2027 while the status of our food sovereignty is in big danger. I mean, hatari kubwa sana. In the year 2012, the late President Emilio Mwai Kibaki introduced a total ban on introduction of GMO organisms into this country. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta did not lift the ban. Watu wa two-term, watu wa mama mboga. William Samoei Ruto, 1 month after kuapishwa, he lifted the ban on GMO organisms. And 1 month later, Bill Gates mwenyewe, yule alitajwa kwa Epstein file, visited our country and they had an agreement that GMO is going to be introduced into our system. Vita ya kwanza ilikuwa gani? Do you know, according to Seeds and Plant Varieties Act 326, ni sheria ya Kenya, it is a criminal offense for you to own indigenous seeds. Zile mbegu ambazo ni za kiasili, it is illegal and you can face a fine of up to Kenya shillings 1 million or a maximum jail term of 2 years until late November last year, when the indigenous seed owners of this country, they won a big case in Machakos High Court, where it was supported by Greenpeace Africa, and the verdict decriminalized the ownership of indigenous seeds in this country. Until mwaka huu, the Kenyan government, through the very famous organization called the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, they are seeking appeal. They want to do away with communal ownership of our seed system in this country. They want to adopt a corporate ownership of our seed system. And do you know what is going to happen on that, wa Kenya? Tumeingia kwa vita ya pili. Leo ama kesho, the privatization of Kenya Pipeline Company is coming to an end. Yule ambaye atakuwa kwa kisu, it is the Kenya Seed Company. Kenya Seed Company is being privatized. And do you know, guys, the moment you are going to privatize an organization which is solely tasked with the management, distribution, and, you know, engagement of food security and seed system in this country, it is as good as it is done. So as we are currently speaking, ile Kenya Pipeline Company, you can go and check the people who bought it. It is called Faida Investment Bank, the people who are funding the privatization. I don't have to tell you which side the owners of Faida Investment Bank walikuwa katika siasa. You can go and search it up. So Wakenya wenzangu, as we are currently speaking, why not for court orders and verdicts and temporary injunctions? The introduction of GMO organisms into our food is already done and dusted. There are 2 organizations which are currently pushing for this. Wanajulikana kama Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, and the Alliance for Science Bill, which is heavily funded by Bill Gates Foundation. As early as November 2022, their funding was officially introduced. Munakumbuka, why not for the court cases? The president even gave them immunity. Like nobody can be able to take them to court, ama kupelekwa, ama kufunguliwa kesi katika nchi ya Kenya. Hiyo kesi pia iko kotini, lakini that is what our president is intending to do. So Wakenya wenzangu, the organization that I mentioned to you ambao wanajulikana kama Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, wako na kitu ambacho inaitwa the plant breeder rights. This gives the companies the exclusive goal and the authority to produce, sell, and distribute specific seed variety for up to 25 years. Miaka ngapi? Miaka 25. And chances are very high, the Kenyan Indigenous Seeds Owners Network, they are going to lose that appeal that is now being lodged by the Kenyan government through William Samoei Ruto this year. Wakenya, we cannot wait until 2027. We cannot wait to elect good leaders so that we can decide what we are going to eat and what we are going to grow. Food sovereignty is the most important thing. But now, because of the politics, everything is being done silently. And most importantly, our August House, the National Assembly, wabunge, waheshimiwa tumbo kubwa, all these are being done without their approval, oversight, and representation. Everything is being implemented by State House. Kenyans, tuzidi kumakinika. Mambo ya kina Sifuna, we really support this kind of change. But there is a lot that is really happening that we really need also to pay attention to. Wakenya, tumakinike sana.
we are opposing GMOs in court, but we're also promoting the use of indigenous seeds. Why are we saying we don't have GMOs? Because GMOs, we don't know where they've been produced from. But traditionally, that we used to plant our seeds and save them and plant them for the next season. But when we have hybrid seeds and GMO seeds, then you find that the farmers have to buy seeds every season. We are doing this so that apart from people just knowing that they exist, we revive them. So the objective here is to create community seed banks. And as you are aware, recently the court ruled that the Seeds and Plant Varieties Act that says that farmers can't share their seeds is unconstitutional. But the government has gone to court to appeal. So we're also asking the government that why do you want to criminalize farmers? Why do you want to pass laws that are telling farmers not to share their seeds?
To Bill Gates on video for 2 minutes, and then we will move the...
Hello. I want to thank President Ruto for convening this event and prioritizing this important work. I started work on climate change over 2 decades ago after I left my full-time work at Microsoft, and I was focusing on fighting poverty and fighting diseases. When I visited Africa, I saw 2 things. First was how climate is already affecting agricultural output, although they've contributed almost nothing to these greenhouse gas emissions because they're dependent on farming, they're near the equator, they're already experiencing more damages than other countries.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the past, I have told you, he who controls what you eat, where you sleep, and he who controls what you eat and where you sleep actually runs your life. President William Ruto has capitalized on that. The affordable housing is a project that was introduced in Kenya to become a government-owned real estate so that William Ruto can control where the people of the Republic of Kenya sleep. On the issue of what you eat, the government of President William Ruto, from the start when it came to power, it has been working on a strategy to ensure that the food that is being consumed in Kenya is controlled by them. From the reintroduction of GMOs in the country to actually allowing the importation of poisonous sugar to the country, to the poisonous rice, all of which are just a key scheme to control the population of the Republic of Kenya. But allow me to diverge into the topic of the GMOs. The video clips that we have begun with is one video clip of one activist, Gal Madido, actually diverging us into one very serious topic and a certain plot by the government of Kenya to privatize the Kenya Seeds Company, which is a company that is involved with the seeds that we actually grow and plant in the Republic of Kenya. Currently, the government of Kenya finished privatizing the Kenya Pipeline Company. As Gal Madido tells you, the next company in line is the Kenya Seed Company. Do you know who is going to buy the Kenya Seed Company? Details reaching us or intel coming to us are exposing a plot of one company linked to a man that has for years been linked to selling GMO seeds to the people of the Republic of Kenya, billionaire Bill Gates, as one of the companies that will acquire the largest share in the Kenya Seeds Company through the privatization that William Ruto's government seeks to privatize the Kenya Pipeline Company. But before all is said and done, allow us to actually lay it out to you in plain language. If you want to build a sick country, you first corrupt the food system. Russia criminalized GMOs. William Ruto's regime sponsored a bill criminalizing indigenous sins in the country. Imagine to a point where they sponsored a bill saying that ukipatikana unalima the indigenous natural seeds in the Republic of Kenya, you are supposed to be jailed or you are supposed to incur a certain penalty constitutionally. That was one sick move that actually should have opened our eyes to what was going on. Even after the High Court ruling that the bill was unconstitutional, this regime is still pushing it in the Court of Appeal. Puppets of bioterrorists committed to destroying a country. Ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to the video clip of one girl Madido that we have begun with and the other clip that has followed, you will understand what it means to control the seas and the food that we consume as a republic. Different countries over the world have criminalized GMO. The Kibaki regime, before he exited power, he ensured that he had banned GMO in the Republic of Kenya so that Kenyans would consume natural, organic food, and indigenous seeds were the mode of the day. And the cases of cancer in the country were reduced to a certain level. The Uhuru Kenyatta regime came in and held on the tightrope that Kibaki had put against the GMOs. But when William Ruto's government came into power, in October 2022, less than a month after his swearing in, President William Ruto's cabinet lifted a 10-year ban on the cultivation and importation of genetically modified crops, the GMOs, in Kenya, aiming to boost food security, as they said, amid severe drought. The move allowed GMO maize, among other crops, to curb anger in arid areas. While supported by scientists, it faced significant political opposition and legal challenges from farmers. The ban was lifted by the cabinet on October 3rd, 2022, following a task force recommendation. The government aimed to fight food insecurity caused by drought and to improve crop yields through the introduction of GMOs. Critics, including local farmers association, expressed concerns over seed slavery, dependence on foreign companies, and health risks leading to legal challenges. Reports indicated that in July 2023, Kenyan courts reversed the decision, reinstating the ban following a lawsuit. But still, this government is moving to the Court of Appeal to seek the reinstatement of allowing GMOs to be used in the Republic of Kenya. While opponents cite potential health risk, proponents argue that GMO can enhance food security and reduce the need for certain pesticides. But we know, if countries like China, if countries like Russia are taking the steps of banning GMOs, who are we as a republic to actually move to legalize GMOs in our country? Now, let's get to what is currently in play right now. The privatization of the Kenya Seed Company. The Kenyan government, under the 2023 privatization program, plans to privatize the Kenya Seed Company, KSC, by selling its 52.88% stake held through the Agricultural Development Corporation, ADC. The initiative seeks to generate government revenue and modernize the farm, although the process has faced opposition from farmers and faced legal challenges regarding the Privatization Act. Now, the government, through ADC, currently holds a 52.88% majority shareholding in KSC, Kenya Seed Company. The Treasury argued that KSC is in a mature competitive industry and that privatization will generate revenue, boost capital investment, and improve efficiency. Farmers and other stakeholders have expressed concerns, arguing that privatizing a critical agricultural asset could harm food security and farmer interest. Although a High Court ruling initially questioned the privatization framework, the government has continued with plans under the updated Privatization Act, listing KSC among other firms for divestiture. Now, Kenya Seed Company, established in 1956, operates subsidiaries including Simlo Seeds Kenya, Kibo Seeds Tanzania, Simlo Seeds Uganda, and the Kenya Seed Rwanda. Ladies and gentlemen, as early as 2026, the High Court declared the Privatization Act constitutional, clearing the way for the government to proceed with the planned sale of the state-owned enterprise, including the Kenya Seed Company. Now, after the privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Company, the next company in line is the Kenya Seed Company. But it is not about the privatization. It is about who they are selling the Kenya Seed Company to. Ladies and gentlemen, the company that is at the front to acquire this Kenya Seed Company highest percentage stake is a company linked to Bill Gates. I mean, as of the year 2026, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has faced and repeatedly been accused regarding its involvement with genetically modified organisms, GMOs, and modified mosquitoes in Kenya. If these people acquire a stake in Kenya Seed Company, tell me of the amount of genetically modified organisms that they will introduce into the Kenyan system. The reason why currently the country is sick and we are eating foods that are actually causing diseases to us is because the government decided to play with our food security. When the food security of a republic is halted, you have a sick republic. The cases of cancer in the country right now, they are at a level that we cannot comprehend. The deaths caused by cancer per month in this country, they cannot actually even be imagined. This Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has been accused not only in Kenya, but in different parts of Africa and Europe for actually circulating or putting in place genetically modified crops that are not fit for human consumption. But mtazamaji, do you think this regime cares about us? So that is why we, as the Kenyan Daily Report, tell you, if you want to actually live a good life as from today, watch what you eat. Avoid foods that are actually bought in the supermarkets and wherever you buy your foods. Mostly, ensure that the foodstuffs that you buy are organically grown. I mean, even if it is possible that you can cut off the middlemen and go and get your foodstuffs from the farmers themselves, that would be better. And if you have a land where you can carry out farming, ladies and gentlemen, this is high time for us to actually be very cautious on what we consume. Because if the Kenya Seed Company is going to land on the hands of companies like the Bill and Melinda Foundation, Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation, then the foodstuffs that we'll be consuming in this country, kutoka kwa maragwe, mahindi, they will be most GMOs, and they will affect this republic at a very high rate. I mean, let me ask, if you look at the current statistics of diseases that are affecting the people of the Republic of Kenya and compare the statistics to the past regimes of Uhuru Kenyatta and that of Kibaki, when GMO was banned in the Republic of Kenya, would you actually say that GMO has helped in any way? I mean, even the fertilizers that we were being given at an affordable price, tulikuwa tunaambiwa hii fertilizer ilikuwa, it was donated because it was unfit for use in countries like Russia. Na ndio tulikuwa tunauziwa in the Republic of Kenya. So if there is one thing that we can do as a country right now is to actually stay alert on what we consume. Because this regime wants to control everything. And if you have a sick population, you can do anything for them. I mean, ukiwa na watu ambao ni wagonjwa, unaweza tu wadanganya that SHA inafanya kazi, na wakienda hospitali, SHA caters for at least 10 or 20% of their bill, and they feel that, you know what, at least nimesaidika kiasi through this government. I feel sick even thinking about the story and what this government is putting us through. Ningetaka kuyasikia maoni yako kwenye comment section.
To Bill Gates on video for 2 minutes, and then we will move the program to the next stage.
Hello. I want to thank President Ruto for convening this event and prioritizing this important work. I started work on climate change over 2 decades ago after I left my full-time work at Microsoft, and I was focusing on fighting poverty and fighting diseases. When I visited Africa, I saw 2 things. First was how climate is already affecting agricultural output, although they've contributed almost nothing to these greenhouse gas emissions because they're dependent on farming, they're near the equator, they're already experiencing more damages than other countries. But I also saw the energy shortage, and we need Africa to have lots and lots of energy to develop their economies. It's fantastic that the African researchers and companies are now thinking about how they can reduce their emissions and continue to grow their economies. Breakthrough Energy is the organization I created to help with climate mitigation. The goal is to innovate, to make the cost of being clean far, far less. And that means we can reduce the emissions and avoid this temperature increase that has such a negative impact. Late last year, I was in a farm in eastern Kenya, and they were experiencing drought. And so I talked through with Mary, who was the farmer, how the new seeds and new approaches were helping her. She had drought-tolerant seeds that made a very big difference. She also had chickens that were bred so they could be more heat-tolerant. And because of those new tools that were empowering her, she was expecting to do well despite the tough climate challenge that she faces. And so this is just one example, but by helping with better tools, allowing farmers like her, who are very innovative, to do new things, we can minimize these damages. I've seen there's African researchers work on innovations in fertilizer, making sure these new crops fit their ecosystems and getting those seeds out, getting them approved, and making sure they're low cost. So we do need to invest, whether it's in the innovation or the deployment, getting resources against those, including the promised support from rich countries, will be very, very important. The global goal on adaptation, which will be finalized at COP, should lead to more investment to help Africa deal with these challenges. And so we need partnerships. We need government, philanthropists, businesses to come together to focus on climate adaptation. Yes, we need mitigation, but adaptation doesn't get the energy it deserves. And so I'm excited that you've come together. I'm excited to work with all of you to solve this problem. So thank you for your efforts.
The GMO, the West is totally GMO, because that's the most productive. That's what has the disease resistance. Organic food is a small part of the market that's very expensive, but you know, every piece of bread I've ever eaten is high productivity wheat, GMO wheat. Every piece of corn I've ever eaten is GMO corn. So these are things that billions of years of using these products have been done. So anyway, these are proven products. Nobody's trying to take something that hundreds of millions of people haven't already